Every year, as the Festival of Lights approaches, a familiar apprehension settles over Delhi. The concern is not about the celebrations, but about the air that follows. This year, the narrative was supposed to be different. Authorities championed a green Diwali, a policy centered on the use of so-called green crackers. The explicit promise was that these scientifically formulated fireworks would significantly reduce pollution, allowing citizens to celebrate without choking on the aftermath. The central question lingering in the smog-filled air today, on October 21, 2025, is a simple one. Did this initiative actually work? A close examination of the official air quality data suggests a disappointing and complex answer. The numbers tell a story, not of a resounding success, but of a persistent and hazardous problem that a single solution cannot easily fix. The primary metric for gauging air toxicity is PM 2.5, which refers to fine particulate matter less than 2.5 micrometers in diameter. These tiny, invisible particles are particularly dangerous because they can penetrate deep into the lungs and even enter the bloodstream. Organizations like the Central Pollution Control Board and the System of Air Quality and Weather Forecasting and Research meticulously track these levels. Their data consistently reveals a dramatic surge in PM 2.5 concentrations on Diwali night and the subsequent morning. While the government initially claimed a modest increase in the air quality index this year, the raw data from monitoring stations across the capital paints a far more alarming picture of pollution spikes that continue to pose a serious public health risk. The concept of a green Diwali was built on the idea that technology could mitigate the environmental impact of cultural traditions. Authorities permitted the sale and use of green crackers, which are designed to suppress dust and eliminate certain harmful chemicals like barium nitrate. The expectation was that this would lead to a tangible improvement in post-festival air quality compared to previous years. Following the Diwali celebrations of 2025, an interesting discrepancy emerged in the reporting of air quality data. On one hand, government claims suggested a relatively controlled situation. According to these initial statements, the city's overall AQI saw only a marginal increase, rising from 345 before Diwali to 356 the morning after. This seemingly minor jump of just 11 points was presented as evidence of the Green Diwali policy's success. It painted a picture of a manageable pollution event, starkly different from the severe plus category episodes of past years. This narrative credited restrictions and the promotion of green crackers with keeping air quality from spiraling into hazardous levels. However, this official summary contrasted sharply with granular data from monitoring stations. A deeper dive into the numbers revealed a far more severe reality. CPCB data showed the post-Diwali PM 2.5 reading for 2025 reached 488 micrograms per cubic meter, the most polluted period in the last 5 years. Data from 2024 shows by midnight on Diwali PM 2.5 had peaked at 603 micrograms per cubic meter. That's nearly 10 times the safe 24-hour standard, indicating an acute pollution crisis, not a minor uptick. The disparity widens at the hyperlocal level. Of the 38 air quality monitoring stations in Delhi, 9 recorded PM 2.5 levels soaring above 900 micrograms per cubic meter. Nehru Nagar recorded a peak of 994 micrograms per cubic meter, unequivocally hazardous to human health. These localized spikes show that while the citywide average looked moderate, many residents were breathing dangerously toxic air. This exposes a critical flaw. Averaged data can mask extreme hotspots. The clash between the average city AQI and peak station PM 2.5 values is central to the real story. An average AQI of 356 is very poor, but localized readings over 900 are a public health emergency. The official 11-point narrative obscured vast areas experiencing extreme pollution. The data shows the Green Diwali initiative did not stop dangerous pollution pockets forming. The story was not uniform moderate pollution, but extreme variability, with many neighborhoods far worse than the city average suggested. To truly assess the impact of the 2025 Green Diwali, we must place this year's data in historical context. Comparing the PM2.5 spikes from Diwali night over the last 5 years reveals a persistent and troubling pattern. 2021, CPCB, pre-Diwali, 163.1 UGM3 to post-Diwali, 454.5. 2022, rose from 129.3 to 168. 2023, jumped from 92.9 to 319.7. 2024, increased from 204 to 220. 2025, post-Diwali reading hit 488, the highest since 2021. 2023, Safar post-Diwali AQI recorded at 438, severe. 2024, Safar showed 359, still in the very poor category. CPCB reported a 24-hour average AQI of 330 for 2024, the city's most polluted Diwali in 3 years. That 330 was worse than the 218 recorded in 2023, and worse than the 312 reported in 2022. This year's official claim, post-Diwali AQI 356, is still a dangerously high number and is contradicted by peak PM2.5 values observed across the city. What the year-on-year comparison shows is that despite green crackers and public awareness campaigns, the post-Diwali pollution spike remains a recurring and severe event. The fluctuations between years are often more attributable to meteorological conditions, like wind speed and temperature, than to the policy interventions themselves. For example, a year with higher wind speeds might show a lower AQI simply because pollutants were dispersed more quickly, not necessarily because fewer pollutants were emitted. The persistent return to very poor or severe air quality each year shows the core problem has not been solved. The underlying emissions load remains too high for the city's airshed to handle. In Punjab, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh, stubble fires surged from 160 to 605, with Punjab at 80%, and northwesterly winds swept the smoke into Delhi. Extremely low wind speeds and temperature inversion trapped emissions close to the ground, magnifying the impact of all sources. Doctors say breathing Delhi's air during such episodes is equivalent to smoking about 10 cigarettes a day, worsening asthma, bronchitis, and COPD. Expert analysis corroborates the data, confirming that green crackers are not a viable solution. Professor S.K. Ducker emphasized that high PM2.5 was due to local firecracker emissions, and even so-called green firecrackers contributed significantly to particulate buildup. Environmental activists argue that focusing on green crackers distracts from the need for a complete ban and a holistic plan. The verdict is clear. The Green Diwali initiative failed to protect public health. The strategy was insufficient because it addressed only one facet of a complex multi-source problem. Any effective solution must be multi-pronged. First, move beyond the green cracker experiment and implement a complete ban on all personal fireworks, enforced strictly. Second, a year-round multi-state action plan for crop residue with viable, affordable alternatives to stubble burning. Third, tighten vehicle and industrial emission norms, control construction dust, and promote clean energy. Finally, trigger graded response plans preemptively, including school closures and traffic restrictions before levels turn severe. Protecting public health must be the absolute priority. The conclusion from a multi-year, multi-source analysis is unmistakable. Without broader, coordinated action across emissions, weather preparedness, and enforcement, a Green Diwali alone cannot clear Delhi's air.